Ruben. I try to defend you, man. I really do. I try so hard. I don't think anybody who's been watching this channel for any length of time can say that I haven't defended Ruben Amorim from a lot of the criticism. I criticize when necessary, right? I think we're all allowed to. I demand better when it's called for. I think that's totally fine too. But I still try to defend you. But you gotta help me, brother. Help me help you, or at the very least, get a filter for your mouth. Jeez. Welcome back, everybody. This is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean. We are talking all sorts of stuff today. I don't know if you caught part two of Ruben Amorim's pre-match presser for today's match against Bournemouth, but I caught it, and I have thoughts. Clearly. So we're going to talk about that today, you guys. I want to know your thoughts. So like the video, please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Check those memberships. Check the store as well. We're going to not waste too much time. Let me see who's in the chat, though. First and foremost, you guys know that's how I usually like to get things going here. Just make sure that everybody's here. Box is in the house. Good to see you, Box. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Yeah, I think a lot of people said last season that Ruben Amorim spoke a little too much. And I've got a couple different possible explanations for that, because I do think that Ruben Amorim is a smart guy. I think he's a likable guy. I think, obviously, English is not his first language, but I do think he's also a stressed out guy, an anxious guy, maybe at times a frustrated guy. And I do think some of that kind of bleeds out as well. But we're going to talk about that, man. But Lucky's in the house. Big up, Lucky. You guys look like you're having a little chat here about midfielders. Good to see you, Lucky. Hope you're doing well. Who else is in the house today, you guys? Make sure you like and make sure you subscribe. And please, Danny's in the house. He's got thoughts too. Poor Amos didn't deserve that. Yeah, I got thoughts on that as well. Obviously, if you guys have been following the channel, you know we did a loan watch not that long ago. All of our youngsters that are out on loan, Amos was featured in that. So I think that Ruben Amorim maybe doesn't watch a lot of Sheffield Wednesday matches. All right, let's dive into. So I'm not gonna get into the whole nitty gritty and the whole backstory of what went down last week with Kobbie, Mainoo, Paul Scholes, Rio, Amorim, all that. I'm not gonna get into that. We're gonna do that on Wednesday, because Dylan and I are gonna make that kind of the focal point of Wednesday's Kickabout show. So be sure you come back Wednesday night for that if you want to get involved and speak on all of that in general. Today, I'm just really focusing on this press conference. But yes, this Wednesday is the last Kickabout before Dylan and I go to Manchester next week. So make sure you jump in on that. Obviously, we will be checking in while we're there. Don't worry, we'll do a little match reactions and what after we're there. But just for full-on Kickabouts, we got plenty of stuff planned for after we get back, though. And I'll have plenty of other content for you guys while I'm gone, too. But today I'm focusing on this presser, like I said, and Ruben Amorim's tendency to maybe overshare, if you want to put it politely. Let me start, though. I want to start by this, because I feel for Amorim to an extent, right? When it comes to not only like the sheer amount of just interviews and media stuff he's got to do as a United manager. Remember, we spoke about that several months ago, that it's literally like 10 times more than any other manager. But I also feel for him when it comes to the nonstop questions about the same exact shit. Like every single week, it's the same. Not only is it the same questions they were asked the previous week, it's the same questions they were asked like 30 seconds prior to that. And I'd get frustrated too. I'd be sitting there like, did I not just answer that? You were there. You heard me. I looked at you when I said it. Like, that would I think anybody would get frustrated and annoyed by that, because I do think the media are really trying to get something out of him, looking for sound bites, looking for controversy, whatever. But I mean, he was literally flat out asked in this press conference, do you rate Kobbie Mainoo as a player? Like, come on. What is United's press officer thinking in a moment like that? I have to wonder. But Ruben, you have to stop giving the press ammunition, bro. You have to stop giving them what they want. So, I mean, yeah, I'm frustrated for him in that regard. I get it, right? But let's talk about this press conference, because it's just ridiculous. He was asked about Kobbie Mainoo wanting to leave in this past summer. You guys remember we spoke about that quite a bit. But on top of that, he was asked, if he asked to leave this January, would you allow him to do that? Would you sanction him his exit? And this is what Amorim had to say to that. He said, the team comes first. And if Kobbie comes to me and talks to me, I will talk with him. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say to Kobbie, but I will be really pleased if Kobbie is coming to talk to me about that. I just want my players happy and they understand that every individual has their goals and the frustration. It doesn't help anybody. But again, the focus is on this game and we'll see what happens. Really, really interesting stuff. What is Bach saying? Bach says, yeah, the press, the media are jumped. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. How many times have I said I'm going to put it on a shirt and put it in the store? Is there a lot of money being wasted on journalism degrees in the UK these days? But Bach says he still talks too much. Maybe he likes. I don't see, and I know there are a lot of people who say that. I don't think he does. Amorim has literally basically complained about doing these press conferences. I do think that when English is not your native tongue, when you're trying to answer questions, when you're trying to do so tactfully but also politely, and you're constantly having to come up with answers, you may not be prepared for a lot of this stuff. And this is what happens with a lot of people when you ask them questions on the spot. It's not like they had a prepared answer for a lot of this. Now, I do think the press officer needs to prepare him for some topics just in case, have some answers ready, but it's hard to just come up with shit on the spot. And so that's where you start to see the oversharing, the verbose kind of responses. It's a lot of words. I do think that plays a part in it. But again, maybe he does. I don't know. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's like that. Guys like Mourinho strike me as guys like that, but he's basically saying, if Kobbie wanted to leave, then he's more than welcome to come talk to him. He's more than happy to have that conversation with him. Amorim said, at the end of the day, the team comes first. I'm always here to put the team first. He basically said he's got an open door policy and he welcomes players that want to come to talk to him about issues or questions or whatever. But he also added, I'm not going to promise to just give them what they want, because especially if it's something that I don't agree with, he's like, I can't do that. It's not like a child, you don't want to spoil them. You don't want to just change everything every time a player comes walking into your office and wants to do something. You can't do that. That's not the way you run things. But Bach says Amorim should have done a Bielsa, took an interpreter with him to avoid. Well, what's the press officer doing? That's the press officer's job, like the media person for United. I thought her name was her name Karen or something? Can't remember now. Isn't it like there's a blonde woman, right, that hangs out at the press conferences? At least I remember there being one for a while. But I think that it's their job to ahead of time say, hey, we're not talking about this. Or in that moment, just say, thank you, no more questions, and just move along. Just stop him before he starts opening his mouth and just digs himself into a hole. It's not that hard, man. I love saying no. I would have no problem being United's press. I would be like, nope, not doing that. Nope, not, no, you fuck off. We're done with that. I would love it. That would be my favorite job in the world. Nota says he has a certain media he has to do, but he also does actually. Yeah, but he's required to do those. That's the problem. He's got to do interviews for United. He's got to do interviews for Sky. He's got to do TNT Sports and all this shit. Like, it's constant interviews for him. And he's said at least half a dozen times now. It's way more than he's used to. He doesn't necessarily like it. Pick up, Rich. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good day, man. Fox said, I think the old press officer may have left. Maybe she was sacked. I don't know. We all saw the redundancies. Maybe she left and they gave her a free lunch on the way out the door or something. I have no idea. But Amorim was also asked about Kobbie possibly playing in Casemiro's position. Now, we know that Amorim has constantly said that Kobbie is kind of Bruno's understudy. I'll make this bigger for you guys to see it. But he was asked, could he play in Casemiro's position potentially? And he said he can play in that position, but it's hard sometimes. If you look at our team with Cunha and Brian and Bruno, you guys say that is a number 10. Sometimes Kobbie, you have to think, I'm the guy for blocking transitions. All these things, and he needs to spend more time there, but he can be in the future that position. So he's basically saying, yes, he can, but there are aspects to playing in these roles that maybe Kobbie isn't quite there yet. He just maybe, Kobbie in a Casemiro role, your job is to, again, like you're saying, be a little bit more defensive, kind of block those transitions, step in, be more physical. You got to have some pace in there. You got to read the situation very well. Kobbie, I think, has that. It's like this double-edged sword, right? When you're a footballer who's a little bit more versatile. Like, remember we saw this with Daley Blind. Daley Blind, it took him a while to kind of nail down a position at United because he's reasonably, well at a couple different positions. We bought him wherever we thought he was going to be a defensive midfielder. That's kind of where he plays. Had him at left back for a minute. And then he kind of solidified a spot as a defender, a center back. Kobbie, I don't think he's got the passing range to play Bruno's role, but I think he can play that role if we didn't have to just rely on long range balls. I don't think he quite has the physicality yet to do the Casemiro role. And I don't just mean put in a tackle, I mean the pace, things like that. I do think he could play in a 10 role if we played against a team that maybe sat a little deeper. I think he could definitely do that. I think I would love to see some of that movement in those 1-2s and the that kind of movement in the box. But it is. I'm not the manager, unfortunately. Oh, let me see. Danny says, "Why does the whole fan base think he's changing to a 4-3-3?" I think Laurie Whitwell kind of went a direction with that. I think he was asked about because he mentioned the other day in the first one, like when with AFCON players leaving, we might be exploring different ways to play, kind of preparing for their absence, which I think some people kind of went 2+2 is 5 with that and maybe said, okay, that means he's doing this. I know Laurie Whitwell, I think, put out something that said he was like training in a 3-man midfield or a 4-3-3. I cannot. I mean, he very well could. We might see a completely different situation, but I can only make opinions and assumptions based on what I've seen, right? Evidence, and so far there's no evidence to suggest that Ruben Amorim is going to suddenly switch to a 4-3-3. I just don't see it happen. He very well could, and hey, cool, awesome if he does. I think we've got the players for it, but I think that a 3-5-2 would be way more likely in a altogether 4-3-3. But you never know. Without all the defenders, maybe we would solidify a little bit and maybe just play a little more defensive. Couldn't tell you, man. Really couldn't tell you. Nota says, why does he have to do more? Because he's Manchester United. I think people need to also start just kind of just accepting the fact that when you're at United, it's way more than any other club. Whether it's the interviews, the scrutiny, all of it, the hate from the media, the pundits, the journal, all of it. It's just what we have to deal with. It's just part of it. That comes with the course. And I think Amorim that's something that he really needs to learn quickly. Rich, I don't know. I really don't. It doesn't seem like it, does it? I said at the beginning, like, this is what they want. Stop giving it to them. I got more thoughts on that, man. It's really not possible, dude. It is what it is, man. Nota says they can be interested, but surely you could just say no. Exactly. I mean, I love saying no. It's my favorite word in the world. I like to think it was my first word. No, no, mama. No, dada. No more. No, this no. No. I like to picture myself as a tiny little infant just going, no, no. I think I would really be happy if that were the case. Black says they understand the limitations Mainoo has in his system, but he could have. Again, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Again, I'm just here to run through this press conference. You guys know my part of what my role here with the channel is not just to jump on and start yelling and screaming and raging and throwing shit. My job is to try to present all the perspectives, all the angles, all the context, so you guys can kind of have a more well-informed discussion with me about it, and I can have you guys are part of that too. You guys present other perspectives and other ways of looking at things that I maybe have not even thought of. This isn't just me throwing it out there. I appreciate all your guys' opinion. It's your channel just as much as it is mine. Although I know that Dylan's trying to take over. I see you, you bastard. Let's see. I'm just trying to get caught up here. Nota says, I know United are on a different planet to most other clubs, but what that should mean we have more control over the number of media. No, I fully agree. And over the years, we have banned certain journalists and whatnot for some of their shit. There's a reason I call him Samuel Butthurst and not Samuel Luckhurst. The guy has not a nice thing to say about United, and it's because he's have a history of doing this, and we've banned him. I don't have a problem with doing that. I think that anybody who talks shit, especially if it's completely off the mark, needs to just be permanently banned, like for good. Just is what it is. And if they're going to keep doing it, then I would just literally as a club just say, you know what, no pressers today. Just none. One bad apple is going to spoil it for the rest of you. So if you guys start fixing up and stop writing absolute dog shit, cool, we'll do a presser. But until then, y'all can speculate like everybody else, man. For real. Box says Amorim is right that he played Mainoo, even Ugarte last year in quite a few games. Yeah, he started Mainoo like 9 or 10 of his first matches. Mainoo was getting in ahead of Casemiro, was getting ahead of Collier. Like he was getting in ahead of everybody. He started him. I think it was him and Ugarte started against City in that derby that Amorim won. Like he started him a lot, he started Amos and Fredrickson against Wolves last season. He's given Cheeto minutes. He's given Heaven minutes. He's recently started Heaven in defense. Yoro is very young. Shesko, very young. Lamon's very, very young for a keeper as well. But um, but it, like I said, managers will get backed or they'll get sacked depending on their decisions and whether or not they stick with the wrong ones or the right ones, man. So yeah, he was asked about Kobbie playing in Casemiro's position. That's what he had to say. He asked, and this is the part that annoyed me. This is why I would hate being manager. He was flat out asked, "Do you rate Kobbie Mainoo?" Which that question in itself is just out of line in my opinion. That's where I would have like if I were the press officer, I'd be like, you know what? Don't answer it or we're going to be done, because I think those kind of questions are just out of line. Why would you ask that? Like, that's ridiculous. And if I was another journalist, I would hate that too, because I'd be like, listen, you're going to screw us all over by getting this canceled early by asking a stupid question like that. That's annoying. But this is what Amorim had to say to that. He said the problem is that we were playing with two midfielders, and you guys see Kobbie in a different way that I see Kobbie. Sometimes maybe if I play with three midfielders, not with just two, but with the three, Kobbie will have more minutes. And I imagine if that's to happen, he said someone in front is going to lose their spot. So you say more midfielders mean less attackers. I would say more midfielders and more attackers mean one less center back, but it is what it is. But he said, so sometimes it's just the moment. I think I proved that if you change my mind. He said Casemiro is the biggest example. He was behind Toby, and now he's a starter. So I get what he's saying there. It's up, and I've said it many times. The players kind of choose the team with how well they're willing to get their head down and work on things. And Casemiro, I think, has a perfect example of doing that. I think we all thought he was done, and then he started this season very, very, very well. Dude, I have no idea who asked that question. I really don't. They don't always say the names. I wish they would. I wish they would do that, but I couldn't tell you. You're welcome to walk and see if you can defend it or figure it out. But yeah, please do hit that like button if you guys are interested in just helping the channel grow on that. Please subscribe if you guys are new and you like just having your voice heard on these channels. I always try to make sure everybody's opinion gets thrown out there. One less, yeah, exactly. One less defender. It's against Everton, for instance, that would have been the solution. Kobbie on one less defender. It is what it is. But then we get to the fun stuff. And I wish we would have just ended on that last question or even before that last question, because of course the final one is where Ruben sort of shoves his foot in his mouth a little bit. He was basically just asked, it was an innocuous question almost, hey, Ruben, is it okay if players approach you about why they're not playing or what they need to do to get minutes and stuff? Kind of just a normal question, right? Like how, but he kind of already answered it. So I'm like, okay. But he repeated that the door is open for players to change his mind, but they need to show it in training and matches, just like he said with Casemiro in that previous question. It's just like we've been saying this whole time. The players pick the team. You've got to, and there's a lot that we don't see behind the scenes. Like when Ten Hag had those issues with Sancho and Ruben had those issues with Rashford. We were all happy for Rashford to sit out at that time, but now that it's Kobbie, it seems like a lot of people are getting all fired up about it. But it's the same with every manager and every player. The players pick the team, like I said. But instead of just maybe repeating himself, which is what I would have done, I would have just said, see previous answer. Amorim decided to go bring up other players for some reason, which I don't get. But he said, of course, he's not playing so many games, but Cobb's had opportunities, especially last year that everyone had. Harry Amos is now struggling in the championship. I've got thoughts on that. Cheeto is not always a starter with the under-21s. I've got thoughts on that too. Like, dude, just get a fucking filter for real. Like, he already brought up Collier early in the presser. I don't know why you have to bring Collier into it, but why bring up Harry Amos and Cheeto? It doesn't make sense. They've got nothing to do with anything you're talking about. Literally nothing to do. He said, Collier was struggling. Like, yeah, Collier is struggling with injuries, but what does it have to do with the question? What does it have to do with Kobbie? What does it have to do with United even right now? Collier hasn't been here since the summer. It has nothing to do with anything. Like, and Amos is actually doing very, very well at Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, this Harry Amos, literally their player of the month for November. He looks excellent in a wingback role, so I don't understand that whatsoever. So it's bad enough that you brought him into the chat. Then you make yourself look absolutely clueless by just saying he's struggling. Now maybe he he was referring to the fact that Sheffield Wednesday are struggling, either financially, I think they're bottom of the table, whatever. But again, Amos has been great. So if that's just Amorim looking at results and not how Amos is actually doing individually, performance-wise, if he's just basing his opinion on results and nothing more, then maybe Amorim needs to quit coaching and go work for TalkSport or Sky or ESPN or some shit like that. That's what they do. So doesn't make sense whatsoever, dude. Let me put this back up here. Where are you guys at? Hold up. Niche fan, welcome back. Says finally, hallelujah. 433 coming. Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it. Highly doubt it. But welcome back, man. Good to see you again. Everyone will say that the picture is AI. That's hilarious, dude. AI is crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen a lot of like Sora AI and stuff. Shit is crazy. Oh man, I showed my wife this video the other night on YouTube of somebody's dog like attacking a lion, and she was freaking out. And I'm like, it's AI. It's completely fake. Like, it's crazy, man. Danny says just yeah, like Amos is doing just fine, dude. I don't get that whatsoever. Danny says it looks like Amos being sold, or will leave. Honestly, Amos is looking better than Dorgu is right now, and he's playing in a wingback role. Sheffield, they play with a back three, and Amos is playing in that left wingback role. But so Amos, I didn't get the Amos thing. Like, he's doing very, very well. The loan has been excellent for him. I don't care how Sheffield Wednesday are doing. I care about how Amos is doing, and Amos is doing very, very well. And Cheeto, I don't get that. Cheeto's been injured since like a while. He's been injured. He got some sort of, I forget what it was. But even though let's say he's not injured and he's fit and he's on the 21s, why bring him up? Why like keep his name out of your mouth? There's no reason for it right now. I think it's just weird and it's unnecessary. And it's another comment to me that in a history of comments that screams of a young manager under pressure, perhaps maybe in over his head a bit, getting annoyed, getting frustrated, and kind of just grabbing hold of anything he can to defend himself against, quite honestly, like an onslaught of just the same question, the same nonsense, and the same media bullshit. They're trying to catch him out. Like, I'm really just trying to assume benefit of the doubt that Amorim is maybe just referring to injuries or just referring to table position when he says struggling. But again, English is not his native language. We don't know. But maybe he just doesn't follow how the youngsters are doing on loan. It's not his job. It would be great if you'd pay close attention, but it's not necessarily his job. But like, if you want to, you can go watch my loan watch video, Ruben. All the information's right there. We'll do another one in a couple months. But then, like, again, if you don't know what you're talking about, just don't say anything. I don't get involved in politics discussions because I don't follow politics. I keep my name out of the conversation. But this is not great timing for Ruben because he says all this at a time where tension is high. Your loyalty to youngsters is being questioned nonstop. It just adds fuel to the fire. It doesn't make sense, man. You're supposed to be a shield for the youngsters when it comes to the media and rivals and all this. You're supposed to be the shield for them. You're not supposed to step out of the way and let them catch strays. And you're not supposed to fire off those shots yourself. That's a no-no. All right, rant over for a second. Let me get talks in here. Dave says 100% Amos. He's looking very good. He's looking very, very good. Now, granted, he's been playing English football for a lot longer than Dorgu, but I don't think Dorgu was brought in to be the starter right off the bat. Box says Amorim's seasoned defensive mode, which can get to an extent, but some of these comments, yeah, it's just weird, man. Like, it's just weird. Ricardo, welcome back, Ricardo. It's been a minute. Hope you're doing well. Let us know how you've been, man. Says I could try to translate Amorim's word for Amos and Cheeto, meaning they have to be the best of those lower league teams to be able to fight for a place in the United squad. I mean, Amos is literally Sheffield Wednesday's player of the month for November. He's doing very, very well. I do agree that Cheeto's probably not good enough yet to get minutes in the Premier League, but again, the point is not whether or not they're good enough. The point is why did you bring them up? Like, that doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. That's your job as his manager, is to watch over everybody. You need to come in there with a shield, like 300 Spartan style, and not just sit there and do one of these and let him go. It doesn't make sense. Let's say even for a moment that everything Ruben Amorim said about Kobbie, Collier, Amos, and Cheeto, let's say for a hot second, all that is 100% spot on, right? And let's say we all agree with him. We've all been still. Don't fucking say it in a press conference. Get a filter. You don't say it. He can say this is the worst United side in history, he can think it. Don't say it. We can all think it. Don't say it. That's your job. um, we can know as fans, and we can all agree that the jump from the academy to first team Premier League football is too big for a lot of youngsters. Amorim can think it, but you don't say it. Comparing academy players to Kobbie Mainoo is just weird too. It's like there's no comparison there. Kobbie's playing first team football. Academy players aren't, so I don't really get the comparison there. That's like comparing Ethan Wheatley to Erling Haaland. It doesn't make sense. Like there's no point there. Again, he's just reaching for shit. I don't think Amorim is anti-youth. Again, he did start Amos and Fredrickson against Wolves last season. He's given Heaven tons of minutes. He started him in the last 2 matches in a very important role and stuck with him even when he had a shaky first match. He sticks by Yoro. Shesko's young. Lamens is young in goalkeeper years. Loads of youngsters have been training with the first team, and they've been involved in the matchday squad. He started Kobbie ahead of Collier and Casemiro last year for like 9 or 10 matches to start. I just don't think he rates Kobbie as highly as we do, which is fine. That's fair. It's fine. You can have your opinion. You can have your preference. It doesn't really matter. But you don't say shit like that. But then just sell them if you don't rate them. Just sell them. You're only hurting yourself by saying things like this, not getting your ideal center back. Again, I mean center mid. Get a filter, man. Where you guys got there? Box says 100% no filter, like zero filter at all, man. It's ridiculous. Box said this is him filtering, and I hate to see what unfiltered looks like. somebody just go get a bunch of flat screen TVs off a garage sale or something and just have them in a storage for when Ruben Amorim wants to throw a temper tantrum for him to break. Just disposable TVs. Adrian, welcome. Says Youth Academy isn't playing this system. So what's the point? I mean, they were last season. They started, but then we got a new academy director. And remember, we talked about this a couple months back that we're making a shift now to where we're not only focusing on the system, we're focusing more on individual development at the academy level. And so we're prioritizing that. Sometimes that will mean they line up in a 3 at the back. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, this is what Amorim plays. It's just what's best for the players at their disposal, what's best for the individuals for development wise. So I don't have a problem with that. I prefer us to start to focus on the academy. And I do think that we're trying to promote versatility, mentality, players who can handle a couple different systems. I know that we're talking a little bit about playing like friendlies against different teams from different leagues to try to get these players exposed to different styles of opposition as well, which is great. I love that. That's perfect. Box says Wheatley is better. I wasn't trying to pick on Wheatley. I was just kind of making a point. It always does my head in when people try to compare every player to like Messi or Haaland. Like you're using the outlier to make your argument. That makes no sense whatsoever. Notarius, welcome. Good to see new faces. It's not hard to jump from academy to Premier League. It's the system that's hard for the boys. I think it is very difficult to jump from the academy to the Premier League. It's a huge step up. Cheeto Obi last season was just handling the under 21 level, like handling it easily. Did not look too comfortable in Premier League football because just it's a huge jump. It is a very big jump. Now, some players adapt more quickly than others, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad player if you just can't handle it right. It is a big jump. It really is. And remember, a lot of these players, even when they're 20, 21, are still developing physically as well. Cheeto may be a monster right now, but he's still developing physically too. And so that has to play a role too. But I do think it is a big jump from the academy to Premier League football. I do personally. But on these comments, I mean, what does this do for like dressing room morale in the 24 hours leading up to the match? Because this is literally, Ruben, by the way, we've got a match in 24 hours. Thanks for basically telling all the young players, like Casemiro and Bruno are the guy. Like I get it. Casemiro and Bruno have been fine. They've been great. But again, keep it behind closed doors, dude. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the starting 11 comes out today and Kobbie's not even in the squad and we're told that he suddenly got sick or something. I would not be surprised whatsoever. But my point is none of this helps. None of these comments. This isn't going to help Harry Amos. This isn't going to help Cheeto. This is not going to help Kobbie. And again, it's ironic that these comments were made because Amorim really isn't in a place where he can afford to start alienating players. He needs to rely on them. We're losing 3. He's not going to get anybody potentially until January. So you've still got a little over 2 weeks to work with the players you have. What happens if somebody gets injured too? Like he's like, I don't get it. There's zero like long-term thinking in this. If you don't rate Kobbie and you feel like you need better midfielders, fine, but it's not January yet. You're losing those three starters for potentially a month. Kobbie's going to have a part to play in their absence, especially if Amorim holds true and says maybe we need to start playing in a different way without these players. Kobbie could play a huge role. And if you want him gone, these comments put us in a bad position from a transfer negotiation standpoint. I just don't think Amorim did himself any favors with this whatsoever. I do think, honestly, stress, pressure is a big part of this. I think Amorim is sort of saying too much to try to come up with good answers or try to have explanations. I see it all the time. I'm sure you guys do. A lot of people will just keep talking and talking to either fill empty space or to kind of, again, when you're asked a question on the spot, you just keep asking or keep answering. I do think it gets to a point, though, where you can overshare and you can say too much. I mean, my job is all about people working on their shit and making changes. But Amorim, like, bitch, if you don't think I'm keeping a mental list of all this shit that you come out with in these pressers, like, you got another thing coming, dude. Get a fucking filter. For real, get a filter. Y'all get your thoughts in because my rant is over. Oh, man. I wasn't even planning to do a stream this morning. I was going to come out with some shorts later ahead of this match because I think Dylan and I are trying to go watch this thing later on. You guys know the drill. But I saw this and I was like, no, we got to talk about this because now it's getting to a point where I'm getting super frustrated. But you guys, make sure you like and make sure you subscribe and get your thoughts in real quick for the next couple minutes. I'll leave that chat open because I want to know what you guys think about all this stuff. Do you think Kobbie could be in the squad tonight? Would you be surprised if he wasn't included and we got he's sick kind of excuses? Tari says, don't you think Kobbie would get minutes with Mboum? And you'd think that, and that's my point, right? You'd think that if Kobbie's going to get minutes at some point, either in a 10 or in one of the midfield roles, you'd think. But then these kind of comments come out. It wouldn't surprise me if Kobbie and his agent were like, you know what, just tell him you're sick. We'll wait till January. You got 2 weeks. You're fine. Yeah, he doesn't help himself with comments like this, man. He does not help himself with comments like this. This is ridiculous. Oh, boy. Adrian says, subscribe. Awesome. That's big up, man. I appreciate that. You get one of these. You guys remember we are on the road to 3K. I did make that promise several weeks back that if we got there before Christmas, which is right around the corner, then I would do a giveaway for 3K. Now, Dylan and I are going to Manchester next week, and I made my promise the winner of the giveaway would get their pick of anything they wanted from the mega store while I'm there. I'd break my rule for the giveaway. I'll actually give the club some money, but I don't know if we're going to get there. But yeah, if we get the 3K, we'll do that, man. But we're happy to have you here, man. I love hearing everyone's opinions. He said, who gets it? I mean, I hope I get something. You should never call out any player to the public media. Yeah, I just don't agree with it. I mean, from the players too, I don't, you guys know, I don't like when the players do it either. Like with Mo Salah stuff, we talked about that last week. I don't agree with shit like that. I did the same with Amorim Ronaldo, with Rashford, Garnacho. I hold the same standards. I think everybody just needs to chill out behind closed doors. Box says Amorim's lone watch so far. One glance at the championship table. That's kind of what it seems like, right? That's crazy, dude. Like that's like the kind of analysis you get from like Sirius XMFC or Sky or Talksport or some nonsense, man. People just coming out with nonsense. Shane, welcome. Says, well, you're one closer to 3K. Just subbed. Awesome. Hold up. You get one too. From Ireland, you got another Irish brother from another mother in the chat. I've got Irish heritage on my dad's side. My grandmother was born there. Danny B is Irish as well. But yes, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. Shane's going 3-2 United. Yeah, we did the match preview yesterday for Bournemouth. You guys can go check that out again real quick. You've got a couple more hours if you guys want to get prepped. Talk a little bit about passes per defensive action, how Bournemouth have been setting up this season, whatnot. Go check that one out. But appreciate that. Tari says Amorim is stubborn as hell. He is. I don't necessarily know of any manager who isn't a little bit stubborn. I don't necessarily think he's got to change his formation, and I do think system and formation are not the same thing. But like, look at Oliver Glasner, who does play the same formation, right? But sets them up in a completely different way. because he's adapted to the league a little bit. He's adapted to the players he has at his disposal. Instead of leaving space, he's got them a little bit more compact in midfield. And I think that little things like that, and like Amorim, you don't have to make wholesale changes. Do what you do, but do it quicker. I do think we're very, very slow, especially building out into the attack. I like to see us move a little faster. You saw against Wolves, when we got into a comfortable position, we started playing more vertically. We started creating a lot more opportunities. I'd like to see more of that on a regular basis. I think Amorim is risk averse. I don't think he trusts his bench a whole lot. I definitely don't think he trusts the youngsters quite yet. I think he's probably holding on to that Grimsby result in the back of his mind when it comes to guys like Kobbie and whatnot. But you have to start taking some risks. You have to roll the dice. I just did season 4's premiere of What If the other day, and that had all to do with a manager not rolling the dice on a young player. You guys can go check that out if you want as well. But yeah, what's this? Ricardo let us, he says Amorim did the same thing at Sporting. He said the same thing about Quaresma, Danny Bergancha, youngsters from the academy who were on loan and now both are in Sporting's squad. Yeah, I think he did that too. Wasn't Nuno Mendes in that squad too? And I think that he sent him out on loan or whatever, and they made it permanent, if I remember correctly. I could be mistaken, but let me know. Buck says, I think everyone will be available tonight. Set McGuire, Mazraoui. See it. If we get screwed and we have to let our AFCON players go because it's the 15th, that's bullshit, because it's not our fault we had to play on Monday the 15th. Everybody else got to play over the weekend. It should be a whole match week thing that everyone like that. I would be so annoyed if we got forced to do that. Jane says, Irish Bit, very good. Nice. Big up. All right, y'all. Well, we're happy to have all the new faces. Like Danny says, appreciate you being the welcome wagon, you guys. That was my rant on Ruben Amorim's just asinine comments. Like, again, you can think it, you can talk about it behind closed doors. You just don't say it in a press conference, man. I just think it doesn't do anybody any favors, but it is what it is. I appreciate your guys' thoughts on it. It's always good to get other perspectives and hear everybody's opinions, but we'll be checking back in when that starting 11 comes out a little later on, so be sure to look out for the short on my reaction to that. And obviously, I'll check in with you after the final whistle with another short, as I usually do. Mondays are very hard, especially when I'm going to watch these games. You guys know I always go and watch them if I can. But until then, you guys keep a lookout for more content. Obviously, we'll do the match reactions over the next few days as well. We've got more stuff coming out. Obviously, we'll do a preview of the next match. Dylan and I will be leaving, so we'll be checking in with you guys starting like next Wednesday and whatnot from the airports and whatnot. And of course, we will be checking in while we're in Manchester as well. But until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully, we're talking about 3 points after this one's done and dusted. Thank you all the new faces. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing, hyping, all that stuff. Check out the memberships if you want to get more involved in the content. We do a lot of scouting reports, what if episodes, all that stuff. Members can get involved. There is a members only post in the community tab with links to the WhatsApp group for starting 11 and Legends members. We keep the conversation rolling after the stream stops. Check that out as well. And as you can see below the player, tons of stuff in the United vs. Everybody store. There is still time to order stuff in time for the holiday if you guys celebrate, or if you just want something in general. But go check all that out. I appreciate you guys. Ricardo's going for 3 points. Go check out the match preview as well if you want to prepare for the match tonight. But until then, take it easy. Thank you guys for stopping by. You guys know I always love chatting with you, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.